When you buy a tennis ball, book a flight, or upgrade your smartphone, you seem to have dozens of choices. In reality, most markets are dominated by just 3 or 4 massive corporations. This specific structure is called an oligopoly. It exists in the space between a single firm monopoly and the crowded landscape of perfect competition. In an oligopoly, a tiny handful of players control almost all production. Because there are so few competitors, they face a recurring temptation to form a cartel. By agreeing to stop competing, these firms can act as a single monopolist, restricting supply to keep prices high. In 1982, the president of American Airlines was caught on tape attempting exactly that. He suggested the head of Braniff Airways raise his fares 20%, promising to match the increase the following morning. These executives have the market power to rig the system and a documented desire to do so. Yet markets are frequently defined by aggressive price wars. A specific mathematical force prevents these corporate giants from maintaining their cooperation. To understand this stalemate, economists use game theory, the study of how people behave in strategic situations where their profit depends on the choices of others. The classic framework is the prisoner's dilemma. Police question 2 suspects, Bonnie and Clyde, in separate rooms. If one confesses and implicates the other, they go free while their partner gets 20 years. If both remain silent, they both serve 1 year on a minor weapons charge. Mutual silence is the best collective outcome, but confessing is the dominant strategy for the individual. If Clyde confesses, Bonnie gets 8 years by confessing versus 20 by staying silent. If Clyde stays silent, she goes free by confessing versus 1 year by staying silent. In every scenario, confessing yields a shorter sentence. Because both players follow this self-interested logic, they arrive at the both confess quadrant. The inability to trust a partner's silence makes cooperation individually irrational. Even with advanced planning and a pact to stay silent, the pressure of interrogation drives both suspects to betray one another. Self-interest destroys the possibility of mutual benefit. This math translates directly to a duopoly, the simplest form of an oligopoly. Imagine Jack and Jill are the only 2 people in town with water wells. They agree to split the market and keep production low to maintain high prices. Every seller weighs 2 opposing forces. The output effect means selling 1 more gallon raises profit at the current price. But the price effect means that same extra gallon increases total supply, which lowers the price for every gallon sold. For them, the temptation to capture market share is irresistible. Both Jack and Jill cheat on their agreement. Production rises, and the market price crashes. They eventually reach a Nash equilibrium. Named after John Nash, this is a state where neither player can improve by changing their strategy. By failing to maintain their cartel, these companies sacrifice their potential monopoly profits. This mathematical breakdown of trust results in a better deal for the consumer. OPEC, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, faces this dilemma on a global scale. This cartel controls about 3/4 of the world's oil reserves and meets regularly to set production limits. Individual member nations frequently cheat on their assigned quotas. The drive for immediate cash flow leads members to increase production, which pushes global oil prices down and undermines the cartel's joint goals. This same logic governed the Cold War arms race. For the US and USSR, arming was a dominant strategy. Even though disarming was safer for both, the fear of being surpassed forced both nations to stockpile weapons in a non-cooperative spiral. Whether the stakes are barrels of oil or nuclear warheads, the math of self-interest consistently pulls participants away from cooperation. The prisoner's dilemma describes a tragedy in an arms race, but it acts as society's primary defense against corporate greed. Corporations are aware that their natural incentives favor betrayal. To combat this, they attempt to secure their profits through illegal contracts and explicit collusion. Antitrust laws, such as the Sherman Act of 1890, were designed to prevent this artificial cooperation. These laws transformed price-fixing agreements from unenforceable contracts into criminal conspiracies. Modern antitrust enforcement continues this work by targeting tech giants like Microsoft and Google. These lawsuits aim to dismantle consolidated power and force companies back into a state of competition. Public policy relies on the fact that powerful competitors naturally struggle to maintain trust. Every price drop or product rivalry is a victory for the consumer, built entirely on the mathematical failure of corporations to cooperate.